This week, Disney master artist Kevin John gives us a beginner's guide to buying Disney art. Coming up next from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged, episode 719 for the week of July 8th, 2014. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Jenny Lynn Knopp, sitting in for Pete Werner, and joined at the table this week by my very good friends, Sean Michael Noah, Teresa Eccles, Kevin John, and Corey Martin. And then back in the production nook, our associate producers, Craig Williams and Sean Thompson. That was great, guys. Good job. All right. Now, a lot of us have tried to buy Disney art at some point or another, and anyone who has knows that there's a whole lot of it out there, and it ranges in styles and prices, and it can be quite an overwhelming task to try to figure out how to navigate all of that. So we have Kevin John here with us this week to help us figure some of that stuff out. Why don't you give us a little bit of a brief synopsis of your background?
Sure. As some of you know, I am a 27-year veteran now, being a professional artist. I started when I was still in high school, creating art and selling it on the open market. Most of my acclaim has come through developing sports art for pro athletes and teams, ESPN, National Football League, Major League Baseball, so on and so forth. I am now in my second year under a contract as a master artist for Walt Disney, the Walt Disney Company. And I am charged with creating original art based on the experiences that you have when you come to the park, whether that be character experiences, attraction experiences, resort experiences, that sort of thing. So I create the original art that you all buy when you go to the Art of Disney galleries. And that's just one, just one of the things that I'm doing now. The sports art end of my company and the pop culture end of the company are still very active. We're still doing a lot of that work as well nationally, but I just love this, love creating the art for Disney for sure. Yeah, it's really a dream come true.
I have a question. So
Sure.
Do you hang your own artwork in your house?
No, I don't. I really don't, and really never have. Maybe way back when I was really poor and couldn't afford other people's artwork, so I just hung my own stuff up there. But the last thing I want to do is look at my own stuff hanging on the wall. I look at it all day long, and I live with these pieces for weeks on end, as in the development of one piece, and I really like to enjoy other art. Yeah.
Well, even though you don't want to look at your own artwork, apparently a lot of the rest of the world does not agree with you, because you're doing very well for yourself.
Thank you.
But to help us all, talk about this art thing, how do you do that? Can you explain some of, the 101 basics of it? What's a print versus an original or a giclée? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, good. And I take up pretty much, what, where, who, why, and how approach to answering these type of questions. Let's first, we're talking specifically about licensed art that is sold at Walt Disney World, at Disneyland, on property, through the Disney galleries, or through the online Disney stores. I'm not in any way, shape, or form talking about any of the unlicensed stuff that's out there, the knockoffs, the who's its, the what's its, none of that stuff. We're strictly talking about the art that you can purchase from Disney, the actual official stuff. So let's talk about that. It is officially licensed Disney art. It is commissioned by the company of very few top artists from around the world. There are very few of us that are commissioned to create this art, and we really are blessed to be handpicked in order to do this. again, none of the knockoffs. You know, you can go online and purchase any type of, you know, Disney-related art, but, you know, I think I want to stress that it's very good to stay with the brand, you know, stay with the licensed product. It's, you know, the highest quality art, the highest quality printing and highest quality framing that money can buy. That's another reason why I think, you know, you want to stay with the brand. And it's all approved subject matter and styling too. Everything that is sold has got the Disney stamp of approval on it. And as a Disney fan, I think that's what you would want. So let's talk about the different forms that art comes in, the different choices that you have. First, you have the original. And the original in every sense means the actual piece that us as artists touch our hands to, creating it from a blank canvas or a blank paper to a full completed portrait or picture.
You have one hanging currently right now, an original.
Correct. Yeah, we have a couple. Yeah, I've got a couple originals hanging right now, and they are, again, the actual pieces that were touched by hand. You know,
so only one.
There is one original. Yeah. From those originals, then reproductions are made, and again, being that it's a licensed Disney product, it is only the highest care is taken in producing these. The original art is scanned, and then from there, I think the next level in terms of quality and rarity goes what is called a giclée. And it's a weird word. It's a French word. It's spelled Giclees, or giclée as a singular. And that is a special printing process where the machine almost paints on the canvas or really high quality paper that these pieces come in. Oftentimes these are done, almost in every case, they're done in very limited editions. For instance, the Figment Epcot piece that I just released 2 weeks ago through Disney was limited to 95 pieces. And if you think about all the Disney fans around the world, only 95 of them are actually going to be able to get one of these pieces. These are signed by the artist, hand signed. Each and every one of those giclées after production are hand signed. So there's an autograph, there's some authenticity that goes along with that, but also some value that goes along with having that being touched by the artist's hand. And then numbered as well, 1 of 95 or whatever the number might be. And those come as either a canvas or a paper reproduction. Then Disney does what is called the deluxe print, which again is a really high quality reproduction. It is often done almost every time done as an open edition, meaning there is no limit to this piece. They are usually a much smaller format, like a 11 by 14 format. Oftentimes not hand signed by the artist, and definitely almost every time not numbered because it's an open edition. They can print these in perpetuity forever.
Yeah. I've actually purchased some of those too, like at Festival of the Masters, but when the artist is right there, you can buy one of these, but have them sign it right there. But it's not numbered, it's just signed.
Look at Corey working the system.
Yeah, and that's a really good, it's a very, I mean, let's talk about price point with all of these. Yeah. You know, starting, let's talk about that economy deluxe version of the print. Those retail for $40.
Yeah.
So it's a very economical way to collect the art. And then you go to a signing and you have the artist sign it. That's what we did 2 weeks ago, you know, at Walt Disney World. That giclée, whether it be a canvas or a paper reproduction, are all offered framed or mounted. And those are a little pricier. Those range somewhere between the $300 or $400 mark all the way up to maybe $1,000, depending on the rarity of the number. Yeah. You know.
Can we talk about the giclée again for a second? Because
sure.
I feel like I'm getting a little lost, and I don't want to get lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we have the originals kind of like at the top of the echelon, am I using the correct word? And then under that is the giclée. And are you saying a computer paints the picture?
Yeah, I mean, it's a printing process.
So rather than it being like a copy, it's something that's actually being created, but it's just being reproduced by a machine as an artist.
Highest quality printer.
It's the highest quality printing you can. The inks are so vibrant that it really, when you put that Jacqueline down next to the original, there used to be a severe drop off. Now with this Jacqueline printing process, it is so, it retains, again, especially with my work, I get so detailed with my work. It retains so much of that detail, the color, the vibrancy of the paints that we use as artists. All of that is retained with this Jacqueline process. It's not a laser printing. It's not a 4-color process. It's a crazy, amazing process that up until about maybe 5 years ago was cost prohibitive.
Okay. And those are usually in a limited edition. And then underneath that is what you called open
edition or
open
a deluxe
edition
print.
Prints.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And those are more of a mass-produced
type
piece.
of copy.
Yeah. Still a very high quality because, again, quality is everything to Disney. But that is the most economical. So you have an original that would average, my originals average $5,000 a piece. Then you have the Jacqueline, which can range from $400 to $1,000 each.
Now, are those usually the same size as the original, or do they get smaller as they go?
Oftentimes, that Jacqueline is printed at 100%, the same size as the original. I know some artists work very large, so that Jacqueline process, it just doesn't make sense to print that large. But it's very close to the original size. And then again, that deluxe print, $40 or so with a matting and a wrapping around it, which is great. Those are that 11 by 17, 11 by 14 range. And then let's not forget the Disney character sketch art. Now, this is a really interesting thing that you'll find only in the parks. Any of the galleries that you go into, there is a cast member artist sitting there. This is an hourly employee, but has some art talent. And they're sitting there in like a little, white shirt, black pants, and black tie, and they're behind a drawing desk, and they are creating blue line pencil sketches of the characters while they sit there. And a lot of them are to order. If you go in, you can walk up to the artist and, order a per character sketch, Elsa or Winnie the Pooh or whomever, and that is created there oftentimes while you wait. And it's a really nice way to collect a raw sketch, and it is a sketch in every sense of the word. It's first drawn with blue pencil, and then some hardline dark pencil put around that, maybe a little touch of color, and then you receive that one-of-one original sketch. But that Winnie the Pooh that he drew at 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday is going to look identical to the Winnie the Pooh that you purchase 3 weeks later. These are, again, Disney-approved sketches. They kind of follow a pattern. And produce that art, and that can range from $35 to maybe $65, real affordable.
Is that type of art popular with it just being a sketch rather than a very polished, finished
Boy, I'll
product?
tell you, as long as I've been coming to the parks, which goes back to '98, they've had this sketch art available. I know, from what I know of Disney, if it wasn't making money, then, and it's also part of the experience.
It is.
A child walks in and sees this artist drawing Disney characters right in front of them in the Disney style.
Gives that animation touch.
Yeah, it really is it's I think it kind of, it's again, part of the experience,
Well, and the nice part about those is that they can actually customize it too, like you already kind of hinted at, but I know my sister bought me one for whenever I graduated college, and it was Mickey wearing the cap and gown, and, then they're able to write, congratulations on your college graduation, whatever. So it's just something that's actually a little more special. Even though it might be the same character they can draw, they can always add on a little extra touch and make that more personalized, worthwhile. So.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Again, way back when, before I had a lot of money to spend on art, this was a very affordable way to bring home an original piece and hang it on your wall, and as a commemorative as well. I think that's a really good point. You can even have them date the vacation dates, that sort of thing. So that's kind of gives you a breakdown of the different types of art that you can purchase. Let's talk about why. Why do you want to collect this Disney art? I think first we talked about the rarity, the limited edition of the thing. It's going to...
It's collective value.
Yeah, it's going to retain its value more than... anything else. I think, you can go to a park and, after a week's vacation, you can spend, $300 or $400 on mugs and T-shirts and, vinylmations and little trinkets and things like that. You can only have so many of those things before they clutter the house. That T-shirt that you bought in 2004, now you're buffing your car with it.
I describe it as when you go into these people's houses and they have all of that everywhere, rather than it looking like someone has, accented their home with Disney. It looks like someone threw up Disney. It's just everywhere.
Right. Where I think a fine piece of art, that is going, you take that $300 or $400 and invest it into a nice piece of art from that trip. That's going to literally hang around your house in a beautiful manner for years. It's going to escalate in value, unlike that T-shirt that you bought.
Right.
And you can enjoy it constantly in your office, in your living room, that sort of thing. And I just think and it can become an heirloom as well.
Which types of the art, we talked about the different categories, which types hold their value best?
Oh, well, it would definitely be the originals, or the limited edition Giclées. Those are going to, because again, the Giclées are done in such limited editions that, immediately on the secondary market, they're going to be worth oftentimes double and triple of what you paid for them. The originals are only going to escalate in value because there's only one of those. And that's all going to depend on certainly the popularity of the theme that the piece is holding. Is it a Frozen piece? Is that fad going to die in 6 months?
Is it Ellen's Energy Adventure?
Ellen's Energy Adventure, or is it the Haunted Mansion? Which is an evergreen,
more classic
piece that there are crazy Haunted Mansion collectors. It also is going to depend on the artist's acclaim. Is this the artist one and done? Is this an artist that just kind of did this as a one shot for Disney and now he or is this a lifetime?
Where people start remembering a name like like Noah, for example. You see his stuff a lot. Very different style, spray paint style, but
Do you have any tips on recognizing those things ahead of time, like recognizing whether an artist is going to have longevity as opposed to being a fad, or also things like Frozen? Frozen art pieces are being sold now. I think they're having a hard time keeping them in stock, actually. But is this going to be something nobody cares about 3 years from now?
I would say this about art, that if you're buying it just for the resale value and you really don't like it, I think you're going about it the wrong way. I think if you love it and it does have resale value down the road, I think it's great. But I think going in and saying, okay, which one's gonna make me rich, or which one can I put on eBay 3 years later? You're just gonna stick it in your closet waiting for it to make some money.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think any collectibles are like that. If you go into it thinking it's going to be a prized collectible, chances are that's not going to be the prized collectible. But to answer your question more definitely, I think maybe you have to look at the artist pedigree. Do a quick Google search on that artist that you're looking for, and how long has he been a professional, or she has been a professional artist. Pardon me. What is the other body of work that they've done, and how has that artwork done in the marketplace? When it all comes down to it, though, it's all about capturing those moments or memories from that trip, from that vacation, from that favorite place. When I purchased a piece, of art from the. It was a rendering, a beautiful rendering of the Crystal Palace. I hung that in my home because that's where we always started our trips, at the Crystal Palace. And then when I looked at that piece at home every day, I was there again for that moment. So get that emotional connection to that. So I think those are important things as well.
I agree with that, with what you're saying. My family were Disney Vacation Club members, and I know that when we stay at a new resort every year, they often sell artwork of the resort in the gift shops. And I mean, I couldn't afford the $300 pieces, but I often tried to get the little $12 prints that we had been talking about, and then you eventually end up with a nice little collection on your wall of all the different resorts that you stayed in. They help you remember your vacation. Yeah, I agree. The connection to what you're buying is, I would think, key. I'm not an art collector, but makes me feel happy when I look at those pictures.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to buy a piece because it's got red in it and it matches your red couch at home. But, buy what moves you.
What style you like.
The style that you like.
Yeah, that's important, I think.
That's another, I kind of touched on that, what pieces to collect and why. And those are all really good reasons. Let's talk about where. Where do you purchase this art? They're all available at what's called the Art of Disney Galleries, and those are found in the Magic Kingdom in Epcot, at Disney Hollywood Studios, and at Downtown Disney. Each one of those places have a dedicated gallery for the art. There are the resort and park gift shops, and they often carry art, and oftentimes it's the lower end prints, that
Right.
Again, those, that $40 that you can, spend and throw it in your bag and take it with you. Disney Cruise Line also is fantastic for their art, and I'm really looking forward personally myself to developing my first piece of art for Cruise Line.
And the fact that there's an actual gallery now, it's not just art hanging on the wall.
It's cool, to go in there.
It's a nice gallery.
Again, Corey, that just shows the power of the collectability of this stuff, in that it is, again, I think it's the greatest souvenir, and again, one of those that are really going to retain value for you. I think that that's important. For those of you who see a release of a piece online or on social or whatever and can't get to the park for that release, if you want to get that piece before it's sold out, or if it's something you want to buy as a gift or something, you can always call the Disney customer service line too. That number is 877-560-6477, and you press option 2, and you'll talk to Debbie, and she's wonderful, and she's very knowledgeable about the gallery art.
Debbie.
Right, exactly.
Hey, Debbie.
She is the dedicated gallery art point person for Disney, and she knows a lot of us artists personally, and she's very knowledgeable about the art. So you can call her and say, hey, is that new Kevin John piece coming available? Can you put me on a waiting list for that? When will it be available? Or do you still have some? Can I purchase it? What different forms does it come in? What are the price points? That's a really good way of collecting, and you don't have to go to the park.
Yeah, I have, for the flip side of that, you're talking about the things that are coming up. For years now, probably about 4 years now, in the Art of Disney in Epcot, they had an Alice in Wonderland painting. It's very tall and long, and I loved the style of it, and I loved the colors of it. It was about $400, and I still have never gotten it yet. I haven't looked recently, but I would guess that it's not there. And if it's not, how would I go about trying to find it? Let's say Pete gives me a bonus, and I have $400 to buy my Alice in Wonderland picture.
Wink, wink.
Pete? Yeah, hint, hint. No, is there a way to track down pieces that maybe are no longer on display in the stores?
Well, chances are if they're no longer on display in the galleries, they're probably sold out. You can call that customer service line, and maybe even, you have... writing down the title of the piece is going to be everything to you. If you see it, write down the title or take a picture of the title card, and so you remember that, file it away for yourself. So when you are ready for that purchase, you can call and ask about it by title or by artist. Again, you might be able to describe that to Debbie on the phone and say, hey, I saw this Alice piece and it was painted, and I don't remember the artist, but she was, with teacups and
She's
stuff.
sitting in the Mad Hatter's chair at the table, and the March Hare is pouring tea down from up above. And can you tell I like this piece?
Yeah, that might help. But I'll tell you, the thing about art, and this is why to collect art from Disney, once it's gone, it's gone. So if you see that piece, do everything you can to try and get that piece while you can, because they do sell out pretty rapidly. Again, you think of an edition of only 95, and you think about all of the fans of Disney around the world, they don't last very long.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you keep a copy of everything you do?
Do I?
You keep your own a copy somewhere?
Yeah. I mean, historically, I've always kept digital, versions, or way back in the day, photographic. When my art goes to print, be that for a different client or Disney, I'll keep at least one.
The artist proof?
The artist proof, yeah. Or sometimes it's called a press proof, again, depending on the client. Again, the client owns this art. I never own any of the art that I do. All the art that I've ever produced has always been, for the past 20 years, has always been contracted. Kevin John never moves his pencil across a paper without a contract being attached to it. I don't ever sit down and say, today I feel like painting this, and I'm going to take a chance and maybe sell it in a gallery someday. That's a failed, it's a failed model. That's why you have starving artists. I have always gone out and sold the job, or sold the concept, or sought out clients.
Time is money.
Time is money. They commission the art, and I am paid before I even start producing that piece of art.
He is a well-fed artist, ladies and gentlemen.
Heck yeah, man, and this is serious. This isn't playtime. This is my career. I have gone about this.
It's different from a hobby.
It's different from a hobby.
It's like if I go and start painting something in my garage, it's different, than...
I'll never understand why anyone will repeat what has been a failed model for years, It just didn't make any sense to me. So oftentimes it comes down to the client, whether I am allowed to have a reproduction or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talking about starving artists, what about the people that are trying to start up an art collection? How do you go about starting an art collection without going broke? Because these pieces are expensive. My one Alice in Wonderland picture that I've wanted for years is $400. Right. How do I collect from there?
I think first of all it comes down to maybe some choices. I looked at, okay, do I really need 3 more Animal Kingdom T-shirts and a mug and a topper for my car? Or can I take that $300 I would spend on all that stuff and appropriate it towards this one piece of art that's going to look amazing on my wall forever? Or there are the lower end deluxe prints that you can purchase, again, real reasonable where art is concerned.
And that's kind of like for Festival of the Masters, we'll spend money on... we love art. There's a certain artist that he does like mixed media and stuff. We'll spend our money on that. But the like Julie loved this Maleficent piece, the original. I mean, it had a beautiful frame. The matting was so awesome. But Don Ducky Williams was the artist, so he was right there signing. Instead of getting the original, we went for the lower one. He signed the front, he signed the back. There's a little slip on the back, kind of gives the artist bio. And look, for $40, it's not framed, but it's matted, and it's kind of, it's affordable.
Sometimes it's good enough.
Yeah, look, I mean, he signed it right there, so she got to meet him, and
yeah, and let me tell you, those deluxe prints that we're talking about, those $40 prints, I mean, they're gorgeous. They are not in any way, shape, or form cheap imitations. They're just an affordable way of building your collection. Absolutely,
that's an option.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have a house full of original art by other artists. I have a lot of limited edition stuff, and I have collected the deluxe prints as well. Absolutely, it's all about putting that thing on your wall and being able to enjoy it. Whatever your budget.
I like the word deluxe prints. It's kind of like the Starbucks model. I'm going to get a tall.
Right. Let's talk about the final thing that I have, and then we can kind of continue the discussion. Disney Online is a good place to purchase the art, and I have to caution everybody again, no knockoffs. Don't go to the official Disney sites, the official Disney stores, and purchase the art there. I know every now and then they do upload art to the store. This goes to a whole other subject that we can get into if you want later, but let's talk about unlicensed knockoffs and theft. I don't want to get too much into it, but there are artists, as long as a list as you can imagine, that create unlicensed Disney art just because they're fans or they think that they can turn a buck on it. Well, they're stealing from the company. It's theft. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can call it fan art or pretty it up however you want. It's theft. Disney owns those images. That's how they that's how they've built their business, and you are stealing from it if you are an artist that creates that stuff.
Same thing with like pin trading, because I know a lot of people that they'll buy their pins on eBay, but you never really know what you're getting.
Right.
There could be knockoff pins, even though they look exactly like the original.
And as a Disney fan, let me step away from my business hat for a minute, and let's talk about, as a Disney fan, why I would want to contribute to the theft, buying art or whatever, a knockoff from someone that isn't officially licensed and stealing from the company, why I would want to contribute to that, stealing from the company that I love to go to their parks and I love their movies and everything. You have to think that impacts the company in some regard. It can't not impact. You're going to buy a piece of art here instead of from them. That money could have been better spent with Disney, and then maybe those improvements to the great movie ride could be done. But because
they need a few improvements there.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? So it does. There is a ripple effect there, further than just the theft.
I think Sean Michael.
Yeah. I also feel kind of bad bringing it up because great point. But I go online a lot. I'm on Tumblr, and I see a lot of fan-made artwork. And like you said, it is stealing from the company if they try to sell it or reproduce it. But I'm just looking at the stuff online. Some of the stuff is just really interesting and stuff that maybe Disney wouldn't have approved of it, but boy golly, do I love this one picture of Ariel, or there's crossovers from different universes, like DreamWorks and Disney coming together in one picture. You wouldn't be able to see that kind of stuff officially,
right?
But I sure as do appreciate it. Not to take anything away from that, because you're right, it is theft. Copyright and images and characters are everything to the company. But I would kind of hope maybe if there's some way I could not feel so bad now looking at that.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with driving.
I think there's a difference. I think there's a
conscience.
difference between somebody, doing stuff for fun and then putting it out there for everybody to see. Yeah. And instead of them putting it out there, and I don't know what the Little Mermaid looked like. It was on Tumblr, so Lord knows.
It could have been
Yeah, but you're kind of scary
I don't-
because Stella takes Disney characters and does what she wants to with them. She's not selling them or anything.
Right.
But now I feel like we're gonna go tear this stuff off the wall.
Yeah, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with driving past a Mercedes dealership and looking at that hot new 350 sitting there, but I'm not going to go break the window and drive off with it. That's where you cross the line. I think as a fan, if you want to look at that stuff on Tumblr, that's fine. I think from, again, I don't want to speak for Disney legal, but from the company standpoint, if it's being distributed out there virtually, someone's reproducing it, someone's downloading that thing and they're running off on their laser printer. There may be money exchanged. Who knows? I don't. Again, I stick with the real deal.
So
that's
what makes fan art acceptable then? They just have to come up with their own concept, or is it just unless you're hired by Disney, you shouldn't draw any pictures about Disney?
I didn't have one piece of Disney art in my portfolio when they called me in. I didn't. It again is and again, but I'm also coming from a world where, I was working hand in hand with licensed NFL, MLB, I mean, again, there's a sports artists, a mile long that call themselves sports artists that just because they like Brett Favre, they're going to render Brett Favre and sell it on eBay. Well, that's wrong. You can't do it. You can do it, but it's wrong. It's theft. The NFL owns those images. They own those colors. They own those logos. It belongs to the NFL. And it would be like someone coming in here on Wednesday and sitting down and using this equipment to produce their own podcast, and calling it the Diz Unplugged 2.0. It's, you're taking what you all have worked so hard to
Good idea.
build. Let's talk later, Corey. Taking what you have worked so hard to build and put your blood, sweat, and toil into it. And someone is coming along afterwards and saying, I can turn a quick buck on this because the work's already been done. It's just.
I think if somebody's out there to make a business out of it, drawing stuff and putting it online to sell, like your eBay business because you draw all these Disney characters,
right.
That's wrong. But I think, for me, I mean, I drew Disney characters all the time. I would, I'd draw them on dry erase boards and they'd just be good for the day and we'd wipe them off
right.
just for, like when I worked at Blizzard, I'd come in every morning, I'd do a bunch of Disney characters on the dry erase board and we'd wipe it off. But I learned a lot, learned how to draw by drawing Disney characters, but I never tried to go sell them.
Right.
I think that's where the gray area is, where if you're doing it as a fan and somebody just trying to learn, or you're trying to make money off of it.
Right.
I think that's where.
And that's exactly what I'm speaking of. I'm talking about turning, turning it over for $1. Yeah. I mean, rock on. Hey, when I was a kid, my favorite
Stella's
things were.
pictures on the wall are safe.
They're cool.
Yeah,
They're safe.
Yeah, they're
You're good.
I'll be torching your room when I go.
Yeah, that's totally cool.
Take it down now.
And you have to understand. I mean, this is my career.
Absolutely.
I'm very serious about this because I lose money. My company loses money. Bottom line, because someone may go out and buy that Brett Favre painting that's $30 rather than spend $3,000 on a Kevin John.
That he approved.
That Brett Favre commissioned and approved. Yeah. Correct. Right. So it's a very touchy subject to me. It's like I own the Mercedes dealership and you've just driven off with a stolen car. To me that's a very. Now let's look at the fan, part of it, or the regular guy part of it. Heck yeah, you want to sketch Batman or whatever in your sketchbook and share it online or whatever. Again. That's harmless.
No, you're right. I mean, creative license. I mean, just on YouTube, people will take some of the videos we put up and that Craig or Dustin shoots, and they'll put it on their own channel. It's like, whoa, that's not yours.
Right. Yeah.
They'll throw ads on there and everything. So it's creative license for sure.
Yeah. So all right. So let's. I guess my final points are when to buy the art, and. Quite simply, as I said, when you see it, if you can, get it, because it may not be there when you are, technically ready, or on that next trip. Oh, I'll just get that piece my next trip, and it may not be there. Artist releases and special signing events at Disney are fantastic ways to times to buy the art. Dedicate your trips to them, or find out about them if you are in the parks, and then you get to meet the artists. You get to get that personal interaction with them, get a photo with you and the art and the artist, and that's really fun. And then Disney also produces special event art also. I remember that they used to do the 999 Happy Haunts event based around the Haunted Mansion. And there were always, you buy that hot ticket, that dedicated ticket, $250 to go to that event. But then you had the opportunity to purchase limited edition art that was only available at that event, Haunted Mansion themed or whatever. So those are some points on when to buy the art as well.
It is fun to meet the artist, like you said. I think it's a great opportunity for them to sign it, and you get to meet them. It's more personal.
That personal connection with artists is really important. Again, I built my business with that since I was 17 years old. Getting to know, the people that are honoring me by, hanging something in their home, this valuable property that they own. They pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars for this piece of property, and they're going to hang something that I created. They're going to. I own that piece of real estate in their home. There's nothing more amazing a feeling to me than having that knowledge. And so I want to meet the people that collect my art, and get to know them. And I have had friends for 30 years now that I've met that have been collectors of mine, So it's really, we appreciate it as artists. And Corey, you know this as much as the other side, as a fan of art, me meeting other artists and yeah.
Well, who are the artists that you admire? Who are the artists that take up real estate in your home?
I love Merv Corning. Not a lot of people know that name, but he was a nationally acclaimed sports artist back in the 60s and 70s. And just, oh my goodness, the stuff he did was just, every day I try and emulate Merv Corning. I love Rolly Crump, the Disney Imagineer and Disney legend. His vision and creativity, I try and just, squeeze some of that out for myself. Raleigh is Mark Davis. I mean, who does not, again, speaking specifically Disney, who does not love, Mark Davis's whimsical illustrations and just the comedy he can turn with three or four strokes of a pen. Those are artists that I love and collect. There's a guy named Husan as an artist, and he does island-themed art, and he lives out on the island where I live, and I love his art, and I collect him. So, yeah.
Well, does anybody else have any more questions? All right, I want to wrap it up with one, kind of a biggie.
Sure.
So what are some of the rookie mistakes that people make when buying art so we can avoid those pitfalls?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I think Corey touched on it a little bit in that, don't just buy it because you think that you may get rich off of it someday. I think it's a horrible waste of that piece of art. That Degas, it may turn you, a really great profit someday, but,
if it's ugly,
art's meant to enjoy, Someone needs to own that piece that's really going to love that piece and enjoy it. So I think that's important. Again, going with unlicensed versus licensed, I think that's a mistake. Boy, Corey, any thoughts on that at all?
That was mine.
Those
right
are
there.
the two.
Yeah, that was mine.
Yeah, in terms of it's really a okay, let's talk about ownership of the art, making mistakes. Don't take that thing home and slide it under your bed and wait 20 years to get it framed. I know people that purchased some of my prints when I was 17 years old, when I first started selling. And I'll talk to them now, and okay, it's 27 years later, and yeah, I got your prints under my bed,
I'm so guilty. Like, like that Maleficent picture I bought for Julie. I'm like, look, we don't need to get the framed one. Let's get this one. I'll frame it for you.
Right.
It's still in the plastic.
Yeah.
It's like, one day I'll get it for you.
Yeah, and I know it's a hit.
Yeah.
Framing's expensive. I know that it it's a little more out of the wallet.
But we do take care of it. I mean, it's still nice and, but it's not under the bed.
Enjoy that thing. Just enjoy that thing. UV lights, and sun. Don't hang it where the sun's going to see it every day because the thing's going to disappear on you, Be careful with that sort of thing. So take care of the pieces and enjoy the stuff. Buy what you love. Buy what really moves you. And then hang that darn thing and enjoy the heck out of it. Yeah.
I think those are some pretty good tips.
Yeah,
straight to the point. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our show this week, and we hope that you all enjoyed it. We'll see you again next time with another edition of the Diz Unplugged. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and remember, for your own personal safety, please avoid all bodies of natural water.